Students of the Vishwaranga Ayatanaya in Melbourne, Australia met with President Mahinda Rajapaksa at Temple Trees this morning. The Presidential Media Unit said that the students from Melbourne are in the island to take part in the Vijaya Kueni drama. The students from the Vishwaranga Ayatanaya in Melbourne, Australia posed for photographs with the President.
In business news tonight, the Ministry of Agriculture has decided to release the buffer stocks of paddy maintained by the government to the market. Secretary to the Ministry, W.A.S. Sakalasurya, said that the buffer stocks of paddy will be released in order to make storage space for paddy purchased during the Maha season.
The Ministry of Agriculture says that it possesses nearly 100,000 metric tons of paddy purchased by the government at the stipulated price during the previous season. Secretary to the Ministry, W.S. Sakalasurya, says that the stocks of paddy will be distributed amongst rice millers. The decision to release the buffer stocks was reached during a meeting held yesterday between officials of the Treasury and the ministries through which the government maintains its stocks of paddy. Furthermore, the possibility of cultivating paddy lands which were destroyed by the recent floods 2 months before the start of the Yalla season was also discussed during this meeting. According to Sakalasurya, nearly 30,000 acres of paddy land had been destroyed by the inclement weather, and therefore attention was focused on granting compensation to farmers who were affected.
A large number of crops destroyed due to the dry weather conditions experienced from time to time since April last year. The silt deposits that have formed in the tanks have made it difficult to hold water. Removing silt from the Balalu River commenced in August last year. Showers experienced in the island from October to December 2012. Spill gates opened in a number of tanks from which silt was removed. Who will assist the farmers who are plagued by both rain and drought?
Steps have been taken to construct the road.
Well, yet another case of food gone bad was reported today. This was when the Consumer Affairs Authority seized 10,000 kilograms of rotten potatoes from Puakpitia in Mathale.
Around 1,000 acres of paddy land were destroyed when the spill gates of the Kantale Reservoir were opened last year. The farmers who have not forgotten the unfortunate experience are now trying to salvage their cultivations. Will the temporary attempts made by farmers to protect their cultivations from 300 cubic feet of water that is released per second from the spill gates of the reservoir be a success?
Taking a look at that story once again, another case of food gone bad was reported today. This was when the Consumer Affairs Authority seized 10,000 kilograms of rotten potatoes from Puakpitia in Mathale today.
Head of the Consumer Affairs Authority in the Mathale district, A.M.J. Samantha, said that the stock of rotten potatoes was stored in a house in Puakpitia. A.M.J. Samantha said that the suspect, who was taken into custody, had brought the consignment of rotten potatoes from Peta. Meanwhile, 188,750 kilograms of brown sugar mixed with sand was discovered by the Consumer Affairs Authority in a storage facility in Sedavatta. The raid was carried out on Tuesday and the samples obtained were directed to the government analyst. The communique issued by the Ministry of Cooperatives and Internal Trade says that the analyst report had confirmed that the samples contained sand. 2 6-month prison sentences suspended for 5 years were issued to 2 businessmen from Peta who attempted to sell potatoes and dry fish that were unfit for human consumption. The sentences were issued when the 2 businessmen were produced before the Maliga Kanda Magistrate Court yesterday. The businessman who attempted to sell the rotten potatoes was fined 100,000 rupees, while a fine of 10,000 rupees was imposed on the businessman who attempted to sell the dry fish. The 2 consignments were discovered on Tuesday during a raid carried out by officials of the Consumer Affairs Authority. 8,500 kilograms of rotten potatoes and 2,000 kilograms of dry fish were discovered during this raid.
Now taking a look at one of our earlier stories, two spill gates of the Kantale Reservoir have been opened by 9 inches each due to the rains experienced since last night. The irrigation engineer of the reservoir, W.L.M. Buddhika, requests those residing near the Tabalagamuwa, Mollipatana, Kinniya and Kusumankada canals to remain vigilant.
Around 1,000 acres of paddy land were destroyed when the spill gates of the Kantale Reservoir were opened last year. The farmers who have not forgotten the unfortunate experience are now trying to salvage their cultivations. Will the temporary attempts made by farmers to protect their cultivations from 300 cubic feet of water that is released per second from the spill gates of the reservoir be a success? Incidentally, the News First camera captured visuals of several paddy fields that have been destroyed by floodwaters. 150 acres of paddy land were inundated in Parakumpura, Madirigiriya. The excess water released from the spill gates of the Kaudulla tank flows through these paddy fields. Farmers point out that this can be attributed to the ineffective water disposal system in the tank.
Let's now take a look at the newspaper cartoon of the day.